What is up, Shashibo-holic? We are back and live. Let me turn off my heater real quick, so I'm not getting any of that feedback. Greetings, Shashibo lovers and others. We are back and a little stuffy, but that's okay. Playing with some Shashibo. As per usual, we'll see what other shenanigans we can get up to while we're on here. Not only when I say Shashibo, do I mean this classic original geometry that we have planned right here that we've had since 2019. In fact, we have been the #1 selling toy on Amazon in the month of December during Christmas and that kind of thing since we came out with this thing in 2019. Super fun toy, great to play around with, a classic geometry, and lots of fun stuff that you can do when you collect and connect others. However, we have a couple of new geometries available. Some stuff that goes beyond just the original 100 shapes of that original Shashibo. We have the Shashibo squared, which makes over 200 different shapes, has tons of ways to twist and fold and turn, and has that triple invertibility feature where you can make all of the shapes in different color variations and that kind of thing. We also have the newest of those compatible with Shashibo, Octa. This guy folds in a little over 30 different shapes. It's a super helpful piece with your Shashibo builds. There's a ton of really cool things that you can do with Shashibo and Shashibo squared that were hitherto impossible without having this specific geometry. So let's explore some of that stuff while we're on the live. Weird that TikTok wasn't live. Kat, I'm just making sure you went to the TikTok event that I had scheduled. Potentially, that could be why, if you just went to the dashboard instead of the event. But if it's all working right now, we're all good. Just making sure everything is running smoothly, gang. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. We are back. How did you guys enjoy your field trip to Miami last week? Did you have a nice time there? It was much warmer there than it is here, I promise you. I promise you that. In fact, these polar Shashibo are pretty fitting for what it looks like outside of my house in northeastern Ohio right now. Sweet. We are all live on TikTok. Thank you. Shout out to our wonderful moderator, Kat. She's been stepping in as mod the last couple weeks and taken to it. We even saw her in Miami at the live last week. Super fun to see a shape that she stumbled across in her Shashibo shape-shifting journey called the Penguin. That is this handsome fellow right here. Now, I noticed something in that live. Kat was having the Penguin walk this way, facing forward, which makes perfect sense. And when she did it, I saw the silhouette, the little flippers and the beak and that kind of thing. For some reason, every time I made this shape, I thought this was the front of it. I see now the error in my ways. Don't worry, I'm never going back. But yes, very cute penguin. And honestly, just one of those shapes that's really fun to put in a row. Because you can have those points lined up to each other and then you just get this little little chain of penguins. I don't know if you've ever made I can't remember. What's that one like David Attenborough documentary with where he's tracking the trek of the penguins or something like that? So just get a little row of penguins. You can make a little table with the 4, as one of our watching members pointed out in the live last week. You can connect them all at those points. You get that little rhombic tab up top, and flip it over, and you've got a nice little table. I personally wouldn't sit at this table. It's much too spiky for me. I choose not to sit at spiky tables. I think that is kind of uncomfortable. However, it's absolutely a connection. You can also, as one of our YouTube commenters just pointed out, make an army of penguins, which you can do in that line that I just did, but you can also have them marching side by side in formation. This, of course, is the most effective strategy when marching your Shashibo penguins against the enemy Shashibo penguins. So let's just have a little polar and fire Shashibo penguin square off, if you will. Now, of course, if we were to be contesting these penguins in the classic lore of Penguina, the ancient species of penguin, the, of course, very evolved and technologically advanced species, they wouldn't send armies of their troops to die. In fact, instead, they would capture a champion. Of course, Polar over here has that Vapor champion, while Solar chose to go with the Cosmos, and they send the champions to duel each other to the death, obviously. Of course, then the civilization advanced, and you can, and they found other species. So they sent the great Vapor Lizard up against the cosmic Scorpion. And the history from there on gets a little fuzzy. I really only majored in the early history. That goes about as far as my reach of what we know about the Penguinians. Is that what I called them the first time? So yeah, there's just a little geometric penguin lore drop there for you, since I did. That was my minor. We got another speed Shashibo Shashibologist out there. Their fastest speed run is 10 seconds, cube to ball, and then back to cube. Can you do a speed run real quick? Yes, I absolutely can. We'll see how speedy my speed run is with these cold fingers. In fact, I have a very useful tool for measuring the speed of a speedy run. And that tool is this guy right here. It comes in a kit with this mat. And it's a mat and a little timer that measures when you take your hands off and put them back on the timer. And our friend is referencing a classic speed race with Shashibo, where you are trying to get it between two extremes. Since there's no real solution to the Shashibo, we more identified that you can operate between that cube and this ball, which are exact opposites of each other, which is shown even better by putting a cube inside the ball. You can see that the ball takes up, or the cube takes up the exact negative space within the ball. So you're just taking the cube, flipping it inside out, and reconnecting it into this kind of fragile, at least when you're figuring out how to get there initially, kind of a fragile shape, because you need to protect that hollow space inside. And so you're trying to get to the ball and back from the ball as quickly as you possibly can. Got to roll up my sleeves to go as speedily as possible. Warm up the hands since it's chilly up here. Take a drink of water and make sure I'm hydrated. 10 seconds is pretty fast. 10 seconds is pretty fast to get from the cube to the ball and back again. Let's see what I'm running with today. From the cube to the ball and back to the cube. Fumbled closing it a little bit, but that was still pretty quick. We got a 4.3. 4.3. One hand in 5 seconds. Let's go. Guys, my best was 8 last time. Chopping 3 seconds off would be quite the feat. We'll have to see. I think I've got a faster than 4-second two-hand cut coming, though. Come on, let's go. Sub 4 seconds. This is the one. Cut about a whole second off. Let's go. One-handed sub 5 is tricky because you can, of course, do the same trick from the cube to the ball and back again one-handed, using gravity kind of as your second hand. You'll notice that when I open up my Shashibo, I'm letting the parts that I turn inside out hang down so that they don't get all collapsed in on each other as I rotate through that whole thing, opening each of those sections up. Then I kind of let this nice open ring hang while I get these two sections to connect face to face and flip it over carefully, protecting that hollow space with my thumb here, where I kind of use my thumb and these two fingers right here to push that cube, or to push that ball open, and then passing it back through the center in a very similar fashion, but quite a bit easier. I figured out how to do that before I figured out how to use gravity. You can use your body here and there if you're figuring out how to learn how to do it, but I would say for a clean run, nothing other than that one hand may touch the Shashibo. The only thing that I could be convinced on that is a possible like slamming it on the table to close it, but I still think you should close it with your hand, set it down, and then stop the timer. We got a question from TikTok. Oh, we got a comment from TikTok that said that was a total flex. Hey, my friend. Maybe. It's fun, you know. You gotta. If I was really flexing, I think you'd know, because I'd start taking 3 of them. See how good I can do this behind the table. Not very good. Not very good is the answer. Because I gotta hold my hands above the table. See if I can juggle 2 of them while manipulating the other. Oh, knocked it out of the air. You get the idea, though. I gotta practice back up on that trick. It's been a minute since I did it. But it's always fun. There's a lot of cool tricks that you can do with Shashibo. It's not, I mean, while there are a ton of shapes that you can find, a ton of different connections and that kind of thing, the real fun is finding all sorts of tricks that you can do with it. There's lots more that you can do with the Shashibo besides just exploring all of those different shapes, as if that wasn't enough. There are cool tricks that you can do. Some of my favorites include the spinning hive. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a better spin there. See, it's got that point right there where the cube is kind of closed up, and each of these pieces balance out really nicely. If you want an easier piece to spin, you can make a UFO right here. The UFO has those 3 kind of points where you can see it's jutting out on that side, and it kind of caves in on this side. This has the opposite. It points out in the middle and has these cave-ins on the side. You can get those opposites to mesh, and then you get a really nice point and weight to give it a really good spin. And sometimes on like a marble countertop or something like that, you can get it to balance just like so. In fact, that's happened to me on a couple lives. I saw somebody who watched one of our lives get a take of it and send it to me. That was really fun. So lots of cool things that you can do with Shashibo beyond just the shape shifting. Like the speed runs, there's challenges. Once you get a couple of shapes figured out, there's that cube to ball and back again. If you're looking for a slightly easier challenge, you can just work on the cube to the ball or the ball back to the cube, just one of those things. Or have somebody else shapeshift the Shashibo, make something random. You never know what's going to come out, so it's hard to get a clean take, but they make something random, and then you just see how quickly you can turn that random thing back into the cube or into any other shape that you choose. The cube isn't necessarily the solution. It's just the shape. It's just a shape that feels like home, right? It collapses. It's as compact as it can possibly be. However, there are other shapes like that. For example, the dome. Even though it isn't quite as symmetrical as the Shashibo, it still has a few lines of symmetry and is a very compact version of the Shashibo. This is a great way to store it if you're looking to slip it in a backpack or a purse or something like that. Not quite as bulky as the cube because it ends up being just a little bit thinner this way. Wider this way, of course, but that's easier to slip in a bag sometimes. The ball, I feel, is a great sense of home. It takes up more space, but I mean, it is it couldn't possibly be more symmetrical. There's so many lines of symmetry. It's so satisfying, and it's absolutely solid. It's very closed, and it's a great shape to build with. It's more interesting to build with than just stacking cubes for sure. Someone on TikTok is asking me to combine them. You couldn't have asked at a better time, my friend. I was in the very act of doing so. Yeah, so we can. I think that the ball by itself is just a really satisfying shape to build with. That's what you get connecting four of them at different points like that. And because on each of these faces right here, where they all come to a connection point like this, there's two magnets holding each face together. Whereas when you connect a lot of things that are cube side to cube side, there's only one magnet per section here. So I think it gives you a great point of connection, a great way to build. I find that shape to be very satisfying. And honestly, when I'm like fidgeting with a Shashibo on pure instinct, that's the shape that often comes up, you know? If I'm just talking to somebody or working on something while absentmindedly fidgeting with the Shashibo, I'm usually going back and forth between the cube and the ball. That might be why I'm so quick at it. Who knows? Maybe constant practice helps you get better at things. I mean, it's just an idea. Just an idea. Any other shapes you can make out of all of them? Oh, 100%. I mean, anytime you repeat a shape, you're going to be able to make something. So, for example, that's if you repeat that rhombic dodecahedron shape. I can take all of those same Shashibo and choose to repeat an entirely different shape. We'll use the star in this example. And I will be able to find a cool way to connect them all. It's all about finding same triangles. And so when you end up making the same shape, you're going to have a lot of the same triangles. In fact, you might even go so far as to say all of the same triangles. Yeah, we've got based on what I said over there. Oh my word, over there. Based on what I said a second ago, we've got somebody who I know has quite a few Shashibo talking in the YouTube chat about how they like to store theirs in Thomas's box and the dome, depending on the situation as well. Yeah, all of those are super helpful ways to store Shashibo. Anytime that they're as compact as can possibly be, that is obviously going to be a very efficient way to store them. Oh, there we go. I didn't quite let them set in there. But that is 12 stars connected together. Tons of cool ways you can add these things. And beyond that, lots of ways that you can add different shapes. So the UFO, for example, is one that, although it is definitely a different geometry than the star, you can see where that triangle lines up with this triangle in the front. The star essentially just has two triangles where the points end up at each other's faces. They're opposite each other. So there's one in the front and one in the back. And those two triangles are what I would call the different sides of Shashibo, one side versus the other. And each of those sides has 3 points. And when you manipulate each one or just one of those 3 points, you end up with different shapes. Anytime you do the same thing to all 3, you're going to end up with something cool. That could be opening them up like I just did, or passing them through the middle. The trick to passing them through the middle is that you have to do it one at a time to get them all through. If you try and put all three through at the same time, you're either going to put too much stress on your Shashibo and potentially rip it if you really force it, or you just get jammed up. For example, if I try and put all three of these points through the middle at the same time, what ends up really happening is it closes up into that kind of cube shape. We call this the seat. It's where one tab is open from the cube, but if I take that tab and close it back down, then we're back to that cube shape. So anytime that you find same triangles, like for example, there's that one big triangle, that means it's the same size and geometry, but that big triangle is made up of smaller triangles. These really thin, wide ones, and this, which looks like a rhombus, but when I kind of close it up a little bit like that, you can see that that rhombus is really made up of two equilateral triangles. And so that's a face of triangles. And since with this build that we made right here, we happen to have, I keep on doing that, we happen to have this triangle left over. It's a perfect fit. And a very satisfying one, if I do say so myself. So Shashibo's a lot of fun. You should definitely try it out. If you don't have Shashibo already, you need to try this out. It could change your life. It changed mine. And if you have some Shashibo already and are thinking, I don't need any more, think again, my friend. The more that you have, the more you can do. Even with just two, there are infinite possibilities to discover and master with Shashibo. While with more upon that, you just are unlocking more and more possibilities. More and more possibilities. The reason that you would keep on going is there are some things that are only possible with 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 20 or 32 or however many Shashibo. Christmas is coming, absolutely right. Check out our website for deals and take advantage of whatever sale we've got going on. Get Shashibo while they are still around. They're super fun to play with. We've got plenty in stock, but we do have a few limited editions out there. For example, if you have an avid collector in your home, you may want to consider getting them one of these limited edition fall series Shashibo that we just came out with. As soon as these sell out, they are gone for good. And so we've got this lovely pattern right here. And we're also offering this guy as a limited edition. A little more Halloween specific, but if you've got a spooky lover in your household, you need this design. Got those, I think they're kind of cute little gargoyle gremlins there. We've got these cool Day of the Dead style skulls, and it wouldn't be complete without Ebo the Friendly Ghost. And this cool jack-o'-lantern. Spooky Mansion, tons of fun. Tons of fun. Oh, Save It Herb is getting their first set of 48. That's awesome. Of Hypnotic? Is Hypnotic your first set of 48? That's pretty crazy. What's the craziest shape you have ever made? You know, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough to answer. I feel like there are different answers depending on how many Shashibo I'm allowed to use. So, like, for example, I think that one of the craziest shapes I've ever made with an original Shashibo probably is going to be the helix or split mushroom. That's this shape right here. Really wonky one. Took me a while to figure out how to get there. Super useful, cool for builds. That's a really fun one. Let's see. With 2, actually, do I still have it out? I don't think so. I'll make it real quick. There's a really cool 2 Shashibo shape. I made it on the live last week, so I don't really mean to repeat myself. But honestly, it kind of blew my mind, and it's not one that I came up with. It's one that somebody at a Flow Festival showed me. And it's this merger right here. Super cool, twisted 2 Shashibo shape. And there's this really cool like combo of 4 that you can do with those as well. That's a pretty neat one. I don't know. It's hard to think about like what's the craziest one ever. Ever? That's tough. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff that you can make out there. And the more Shashibo you get, the harder that choice is to make. I mean, probably with 8 Shashibo, just because it was the most, for my personal life changing, the wheel was a pretty crazy 8 Shashibo design. But yeah, lots of crazy stuff that you can do with Shashibo. What's a crazy thing that you can't do with Shashibo? Maybe that's a harder question to answer. Oh, sorry, I missed a comment from TikTok asking to show some of the different shapes that you can make with Octa. So let's absolutely go through a couple of these. And I'll just let you guys listen to the nice clicks and clacks of the magnets as we go through. Oh. Quite a few shapes. A lot of these show off different ways that you can integrate Shashibo and Shashibo squared. And I mean, while there are quite a few really cool ways of getting these things connected, I mean, the one that keeps on coming back as a standout, it has got to be the schooner. This in-between shape right here. This thing has a really cool way of getting Shashibo to connect in specific shapes. Well, in quite a few shapes, but in get those shapes connected to each other in specific ways. And it gives you a cool, that chiral aspect gives you a really cool symmetry that ends up happening when you connect them in specific ways as well. So that's been a really fun one to explore with. I want to get some more in there. I was going to keep on showing you guys a couple other ways that I have figured out how to connect Shashibo and Octa. And I'm going to come back to that, I promise. But as often happens in these lives, I just saw something that looks kind of cool, and I want to try it out. See if I can take it to fruition and make something work. That's what I saw, was connecting these to the bottom. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the magnets are not going to be my friend here, but it's possible. Yeah, magnets are pushing against. Huge bummer. Huge bummer. You know, that happens though, guys. You got to figure out how to pivot. I do really like, while I was messing around at Thanksgiving, I found this really cool combination of Shashibo squared and octa. And it is relatively simple. However, I think it looks pretty neat. It's taking this shape right here, which I believe we are calling the bloom, and it is passing it right through the middle of this like hollow box, I guess. The double box opened up with the Shashibo squared. It's a tight fit, and you kind of got to get it lined up just so. So it may take some finagling, as you see me doing right now. But once you get it lined up, it's just that perfect slot. Now, not only is that satisfying, but I really like that side. I think that looks really pretty. Let's see if I can get a little color coordination going on here, because with the Shashibo squared, you can make all of these shapes in all different color combinations. And so I could maybe get just a little more coordination between the outside and inside. Now you can see that the sides in here match. That's so cool. Plus, you could open it up like this, and it has that magnetic connection. Oh, if you get it aligned properly, hang on. There we go. I think that kind of looks like a stoplight. I think that kind of looks like a stoplight. Anyway, a cool connection between Shashibo squared and Shashibo. Plus, it gives it legs to stand like this. So that's pretty dang cool. I knew there had to be a way. I knew there had to be a way to build on that. And we found it. The live today is coming at you from Stream of Consciousness. Haven't talked to a camera about Shashibo in days. That's pretty neat. It's only got one magnet per section holding it all together. Tossing my hair while holding onto that was too much. No. Now, while these individual sections, which are like these units essentially, these 2 octa, 1 Shashibo units, are only connected to each other via one magnet. So that's why it's a little finicky there. But you can see that when it comes apart, the units stay very well intact because there's so many more magnets holding them together. Let's try this. Oh my goodness. All right. All right. All right. Use my chest as my third hand. There we go. Now, oh, of course. Could still put one in there. Just won't connect to the other. Man, we gotta get those anti-Shibo, those Shashibo with reverse magnetisms. It's a niche product that only like 20 of us in the world are interested in, but boy do I want it. Shashibo-holic, I hope that you posted that thing that you made with 3 octa that kind of transforms to the Discord, because I can't wait to see it. I like this connection of 4 of the double diamonds a lot. And one of the reasons that I think it's kind of fun is because when I connect these like so and get them to connect face to face, oh, there's no magnets there, is there? Goodness gracious, everybody. So I just need to flip it like so, because when you take the double diamond and open it like so and let it collapse again, that is not only a different geometry but also a different magnetism. So now I get those to connect. And that is the little piece there you go. Same thing. This one just looks like 2 stacked on top of each other. Made kind of by the same thing, by a similarly rooted thing. You can make this geometry in a couple different ways, and a few of them are similar, but the best way that I can think of, or at least to me the most satisfying, is just like so. Taking that cube-ish shape, it's missing a couple pieces, but basically the cube, and having it fit in that kind of square ring. But like I said, you can take these 2 double diamonds and have them stick together. You can also, when you twist that double diamond, instead of opening it up and folding it, there's 2 ways to transition there. One of them is by twisting it like so. And then you get what we call the seed pod, which is these 2 next to each other. And that is another way of making that same geometry. Made 3 different ways out of Shashibo octa. I think it's pretty interesting. It's kind of fun to explore stuff like that because you can do similar things with Shashibo. One of my favorites of those, I'm going to get a bunch of Shashibo that are the same colors as each other so that you can see why it may be confusing to some that these things are not the same as each other. So these are all different geometries making something that looks, the same. Something that looks the same. So here is geometry number 1. Ooh, let me change just one thing about that real quick. So that it's a little more deceptive, because I forgot one particular feature about goodness gracious. I may be committing a little too hard to the illusion. That's okay. So I'm going to keep on setting these aside. And a few of you, of course, already know the differences between these. But this is a really, I think a really cool way of exploring the geometry of Shashibo is to make the same thing differently. Okay, so these 4 pieces assembled here each look exactly the same. Other than the designs between them, they look like the exact same geometry. They're each 2 Shashibo. They each take up the same amount of space. And they each magnetically function the exact same way. You can use them all in the exact same way to build with. However, they are completely different geometries. Many of you are familiar with putting the ball right through the center of the star, which was that first one. This guy right here is just a little different. We've got a ball with one of those pieces missing and a star with one of the pieces filled in the center, which allows for that perfect mesh. Each one covers each other. This one is the, I think it's called the stage. There it is. The stage and the shield. Oh my goodness. I tricked myself here. There it is. There it is. Couldn't figure out where it was because it's so tightly woven. So there's the shield and the stage put together. You're just taking that tab and filling in that missing piece. So if you notice, each of those 3 are different stages, pun intended, of the same transformation. That star, and then the star with 1 piece in the middle filled in, and then the star with 2 pieces in the middle filled in. And then same thing over here, the ball with 1 piece folded out, the ball with 2 pieces folded out. Now, you notice there was a 4th one. This one works a little differently. It follows a different pattern than those 2. And the way that it actually transforms is here, like so. You can start to see it come apart. That is 2 scorpions, which you'll notice have half of it that look like a section of the ball and half of it that look like the back of the star. And those pieces fit each other adjacently in such a specific and tight way that it's hard to find at first until you get it lined up exactly, and then they merge absolutely seamlessly. In fact, you saw even me, who put it together, kind of like feeling around where it was it that these things were connected. I think that that kind of stuff is so cool. Shashibo Holic did uploaded a video to YouTube with that exact same example, but a different shape. Very cool. So like ball and the star, but with a 5th option. Is that what you're talking about, or like with a different 2 Shashibo shape or something? Either is very cool. Either is very cool. There are, of course, many examples of ways that you can make the same thing but different. But that there There aren't a ton with just 2 that have that many ways. But like one of the ways is you can make a 2 Shashibo ball in a few different ways. So that was one of the ways, is just putting a cube inside a ball, but you can also take 2 domes and stick those together. Ooh, but that's a lesson in polarity. If it doesn't work, that means you did 2 of the same instead of 2 mirrored versions. So you just need to unwind both ends of your dome, pass those sections over, and connect them on that side. And there is another cool way where you can take these 2 stingrays, have them lock jaws just like so, and then fold these pieces down. And that also makes a ball. I feel like there could be another one that I'm forgetting, but those are the only 3 that are coming to mind right off the top of my head. Oh, put them together to make the ball. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to check out that video, Shashiboholic. That's great. Any other requests for specific tutorials or anything that you guys are wanting to see in particular? I'm here for another little bit at least, and happy to show off some cool stuff. Otherwise, happy to free build. And give me just a second, guys, to go blow my nose, and I'll be right back with you. Shashiboholic, saying the right names is just half the battle. I get you. Try to spin the UFO shape. It looks funny. I agree. It does look kind of funny. It works. I mean, it's what's spinning when you put a hive on top of it. That hive isn't really touching the table. It's just the UFO spinning. But that UFO gives it a little bit more weight down at the bottom. And because there's magnets holding it all together, you're much less likely to spin it too hard and let the whole thing come apart like I just did in the middle. Because if you give it too much inertia, it'll separate those magnets. But those magnets are so strong, you notice that it doesn't stay that way. I'm spinning too good. There we go. It actually connects as soon as you let the thing relax. See? There it goes again. Connects immediately. There's lots of cool tricks that you can do with that spin, though. One of my favorites that I came up with another juggler. Those of you who know Fun in Motion toys, other toys, Tecti, the inventor of Tecti, Eric. I have to warm my hands up for this one. But he and I were messing around at Nuremberg last year and came up with this trick with the hive, which is getting your 3 fingers slotted around the point there, giving it a little spin and toss as straight up as you can with as much spin as you can, and getting that point to balance on your palm. I had a pretty good take of it on the first try there. It's a tricky one because it's all about getting it to balance in the right spot, keeping it on your hand, getting a good spin, getting a good toss. Not a bad one there. Not a bad one there. So send me a video of you guys trying that one at home if you want to. Oh. That's a fun one to try over and over again. You might catch me doing that at trade shows sometimes. Oh, do I have a Mosey nearby? Yes. Another great Fun Emotion Toys product. This is actually a Glowsy because it glows in the dark. This is our pink variety. Very cool one. I don't know if you guys want to combine some different Fun and Motion toys, then I encourage you to speed up your cube ball cube by making the ball as the Mosey makes its way down your hand, letting it go over the ball, getting it back to the cube as the Mosey goes back over it, starting your cube as quickly as you can so that you can keep a nice continual fluid motion. My sleeves are getting in the way a little bit because they're so bulky, but you get the idea. That's a really fun one to try at home if I have any other speed Shashiboers out there. So, fun ways to combine all sorts of different fun in-motion toys. But yeah, let's see. I don't know. Oh, I haven't pulled these out on the live yet. If you guys are watching for the first time, even if not ever, or for the first time in a while, we have these new Shashibo designs, Atlantis and Infinity. These are, of course, designed to be compatible artistically with the Shashibo Octa and Shashibo Ikasa in the same designs. This is part of the Expand series available on our website, funinmotiontoys.com. If you're looking to expand your collection, or if you have a Shashibo collector at home that you're shopping for the holidays, these make great gifts because you can never have too many. You might think to yourself, oh, they already have one at home or even two. But the more that you have, the more you can do. With just two Shashibo, you have already unlocked infinite possibilities to discover and master as you shapeshift and transform with these Shashibo. But at 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 32, however many, you can continue to create some really awesome things the more that you combine, the more that you collect and connect. So check out Shashibo, get it for your loved one or for yourself this holiday season. Instagram is asking for a stellated rhombic dodecahedron with Shashibo. Have you done it? I have done it, my friend, and in fact, I must show you the way that you can do it with Octa. So you can take this new geometry that we have just come out with called Shashibo Octa, folds into over 30 shapes, and is fully compatible with Shashibo, but its own unique geometry. You can actually make a Shashibo Octa into each of these shapes that I'm doing right here. We call this shape the blossom. And I am connecting each of those each of those blossoms to make a point like so. And I can connect each of those points at a center. And as soon as I add my 6th octa, I have completed my rhombic dodecahedron. Stellated rhombic dodecahedron, which is a really satisfying shape to make by itself. And I think that because it's the same size as a Shashibo, it is a great way of showing off what those words that it sounds like I'm making up even mean. So when I hold the Shashibo like this rhombic dodecahedron is in the exact same position as this stellated rhombic dodecahedron. The stellated part is just each of these points. You notice how this rhombic dodecahedron, which has 12 faces, that's why it's a dodecahedron, and they're all rhombuses, right? Well, the base of each of these points is a rhombus. You can see when you look right down the middle there that outline is a rhombus. And each of the points of that rhombus come to one point in a three-dimensional pyramid shape, and that is the stellation of the rhombus on this dodecahedron. And since each of the rhombuses are stellated, it is a fully stellated rhombic dodecahedron. It's essentially taking each of the faces on this rhombic dodecahedron and turning them into a point. So, cool geometry facts. I bet you didn't know geometry was cool. I thought it was kind of boring and not very fun to learn, and proofs are terrible and that kind of thing. But in fact, geometry is super cool, necessary, and helpful in day-to-day life. This thing teaches you practical skills, like problem-solving skills, spatial awareness, pattern recognition. It gives kids an opportunity to fidget and learn from something that isn't a screen. I mean, screens are helpful and useful and fun and cool, don't get me wrong, but they're not good for your eyes. They're bad for your attention span. This is a tactile, physical toy that really teaches you something about the world around you. And it has changed my life and changed many others' lives in many different ways. I've seen it happen. I see it happen every time I go to a trade show. When I get to introduce this to somebody new, I can see the difference it makes in their lives. And I am happy to be a part of the team that is introducing it to you. So if you're looking to learn more about Shashibo, I do live streams at least twice a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right about there. Plus, we've got a few extra things going on here and there. So stay tuned. Join our Discord if you haven't joined our Discord already. Armad's going to drop the Discord link in the chat right down below. It's a great community, a great place to share images and videos and tutorials and suggestions and ideas. And it's been a great community to be a part of, much less help manage. And check it out, guys. Get a part of the community. If you're a mom who has a kid who's really into these, you can reach out to us. You can DM me personally or ask the chat at large, because we have a bunch of Shashibologists, as we call them, in there. People who have studied these toys and know a lot about them, to answer all kinds of different questions about what's going on. And you are not alone. We are here to help. You are not on this geometric magnetic journey isolated. Gabriella, don't worry, I see you in our YouTube. Thanks for joining us. We are doing all right. A little chilly up here and coming to a close on our live stream, but had a great time shape-shifting and sharing things with you all. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little under the weather. Hopefully I will be back at it in full energy on Thursday, when I will be live again from 5 to 7 p.m. that time. Eastern Standard Time, 5 to 7 p.m. I will be live on Thursday. Can't wait to see you guys there. Who knows? We might have a special guest. We'll see. And I appreciate the live, guys. Have a great night. Stay warm and safe.